Hi guys, it's Asia. Some people say that in order to achieve band 7, 8 or 9, you must use fancy words to impress the examiner. By fancy words, I mean rare words that only some people know and few actually use. This is not the case. Let's discuss what kind of vocabulary you really need in IELTS speaking and how you can achieve a high score. I also have a PDF with recent topics for you to download. Okay, let's get started. It is true that you need to show that you have a wide vocabulary and know words to discuss any topic and express your thoughts clearly and precisely. But it doesn't mean that your answers should contain some extra complex words. Don't try to speak in an artificially complex way. My advice to you is to choose the best word for each situation and concentrate on answering the questions. For example, in part 3, if you don't understand a question or a word, you can ask the examiner to explain it to you. Is it a good idea to say, "Could you elucidate this point?" No. There are situations where this word would sound natural, but in this case, most native speakers would just say, "Sorry, I'm afraid I didn't understand the question." Or, "Could you please explain what you mean by taking a gap year?" If you say what an average native speaker would say in each situation, you get band 9 for your speaking. You don't need to show off. And if you're wondering what a gap year means, that's when school leavers take a year to work or travel before starting university. Now, let's talk about different groups of words that you should use in your speaking test. The first one is topic-specific vocabulary. You can demonstrate that you have a wide vocabulary by using words specific to each topic. The question may be, do you have any brothers or sisters? I could say, I have a half-sister. My parents divorced many years ago and my father remarried. Of course, everyone knows the word sister, but not everyone can describe this situation. And in this answer, I used some topic-specific vocabulary. You can do it naturally by giving a bit more detail. Compare these two answers. There are a lot of trees near our house. Or, there is a little wood near our house with mainly oak and maple trees. The first answer is more general. The second one is more topic-specific. The next one is synonyms. These are words that are similar in meaning. You should try not to repeat the same words over and over again. Again, compare these two answers. Here is the first one. There are a lot of trees near our house. Mainly oak and maple trees grow there. I love seeing all these trees from my window. The answer is too repetitive and makes an impression that you are lacking vocabulary. So let's try to replace the word trees. There is a little wood near our house, mainly with oak and maple trees. I love seeing all the greenery from my window. Remember, it's okay to repeat some words from the question or within your answer. Don't think that you must replace every single word. Otherwise, your answer may sound awkward. Like this one. The question is, what is your favorite wild animal? So let's try to avoid repeating any word from the question. The untamed living creature that appeals to me the most is a tiger. It's quite funny, but it's not very good for your exam. So just say, I love tigers. Then you can continue. They are fascinating creatures, so beautiful and graceful, but also so deadly. So my answer was simple. and straightforward. But then I added some high-level vocabulary in the detail. Now let's talk about phrasal verbs. IELTS speaking is an imitation of a normal conversation between two people. And in spoken English, people prefer phrasal verbs to their one-word alternatives. The sentence, I established my company in my 20s, sounds quite formal. I would probably say, I set up my company in my early 20s. Or, I postponed the meeting is more formal, and I put off the meeting is more natural for a conversation. It's not a mistake to use one-word verbs in IELTS speaking. They just tend to be more formal. So we normally prefer phrasal verbs in IELTS speaking and one-word verbs in IELTS writing. Next, collocations. Collocations are words that are often used together. There may be several words with similar meanings, and some of them are used together while others aren't. So we can say light rain, but not small rain. Heavy rain, but not hefty rain. Violent rain, but not cruel rain. Or we can say to think hard or think long and hard. I thought long and hard before making this decision. But we can't say to think heavily or tough. When you learn new words, check what words it's used with. In the Longman Dictionary, you can find collocations and expressions for each word. Learn them. It will be much easier for you to use a new word if you learn some phrases it's typically used in. Also, when you read in English or watch TV in English, you gradually memorize the expressions people use. So watch more TV in English. The next group of words is idioms. IELTS speaking is a great place to use idioms or groups of words whose meaning is different from the meaning of the individual words. For example, to let a cat out of the bag. That means to tell a secret by mistake. No real cats involved. One of the IELTS speaking Band 7 requirements is to use idiomatic language. So in this video, we're discussing some of the IELTS speaking requirements. And in my online courses, you can learn all the requirements, how to fulfill them, and how to give Band 7 plus answers in IELTS writing and speaking. And if you're interested, you can check them out. I will link them in the description box below. Speaking about idioms, some of them are quite striking and really stand out. To cost an arm and a leg, that means to be very expensive. Or to beat around the bush. To talk about something for a long time without coming to the main point. Or once in a blue moon, very rarely. These are probably the 3 idioms that most IELTS takers would name if you ask them about idioms. You can use them in your IELTS speaking exam, but you need to use them naturally to get the full benefit. If it's too obvious that you learned a particular idiom and are now trying to use it no matter what the question is, that's not impressive. Idiomatic language, on the other hand, can fit into your answers smoothly. These are phrases like time flies. It means time passes so quickly that we don't notice. Or last but not least, one step at a time. I know the IELTS exam is hard, but take your preparation one step at a time. Another one is a drop in the ocean. These are examples of idiomatic language that's used frequently and is easy to integrate into your speech. I actually have a couple of videos with idioms for common IELTS situations, and I'll link them in the description. Next, contractions. When we speak, we typically use contractions such as I've instead of I have. I've been going to the gym for a few years. Or I'd instead of I would. I'd go on holiday abroad if I could. Contractions gonna and wanna also happen naturally when you speak fast. I'm gonna visit my family this summer. Saying that, I don't want you to think that you have to use a contraction every time one exists. For instance, I would say, oh yes, I would say that's the full form. I could say I'd, or my name is Asia. That's the full form, and it's easier to pronounce than my name's Asia. If I wanted a short form, I would say I'm Asia. You can mix contractions and full forms, but whenever you want to use a contraction, feel free to do that. Slang. You should be careful about using slang in your IELTS speaking exam. Yes, it's an informal exam, which means you don't need to give a formal speech, but it's still an exam and you must be respectful. What is slang? My mate lent me some dough. No, just say, my friend lent me some money. If you're not sure if a certain cool expression is acceptable, just avoid it and use standard English. You don't need to use some original words in your exam to achieve a high score. You just need to use the best words for each situation. And if we talk about IELTS preparation, a good thing to do is to find out what topics are currently used and practice answering them. We've collected topics from hundreds of recent exams and prepared a PDF guide where you can find them in one convenient place. You can download this guide on our Telegram channel called Fast Track IELTS. Once you open it, the guide will be pinned at the very top. And the videos about idioms which I mentioned earlier are right here. Thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!